It is December 5th, 1791 in Vienna. A young man lies in bed, fevered, his body wasted from illness. Outside, the city is cold, silent, waiting. Inside, he clutches the unfinished score of a requiem mass, music he believes he has been commanded to write for his own death. His wife, Constance, keeps vigil. Friends and pupils gather to help him, but his strength is gone. By nightfall, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is dead, only 35 years old. His life has lasted scarcely more than 3 decades, yet in that time he has written more than 600 works: operas, symphonies, concertos, chamber music, sacred music, songs. The world has never seen such abundance, such effortless brilliance, such sheer joy in sound. And though his death is tragic, his music will never die. Mozart was born in 1756 in Salzburg, a small but wealthy city in the Austrian Archbishopric. His father, Leopold, was a respected violinist and pedagogue, author of a famous treatise on violin playing. His mother, Anna Maria, was practical, gentle, and protective. From the beginning, Wolfgang was a miracle. At 3, he played chords on the harpsichord. At 5, he composed little pieces that his father wrote down. At 6, he could sight read with fluency. His sister, Maria Anna, nicknamed Nannerl, was also a gifted pianist, and together the children dazzled visitors in their home. Leopold quickly recognized that his son was not just talented, but extraordinary, and he devoted himself to nurturing Wolfgang's gift. Soon, father and children set out on tours across Europe. The boy performed for princes, dukes, kings, and even the Empress Maria Theresa. In London, he met Johann Christian Bach, youngest son of Johann Sebastian, who became a model for his style. In Paris, he absorbed French elegance. In Italy, he studied opera, learned counterpoint from Padre Martini, and dazzled audiences with improvisations. Everywhere he went, he astonished listeners, not only with his skill, but with his memory and invention. He could hear a piece once and reproduce it perfectly. He could improvise for hours, spinning melodies with effortless charm. Yet for all the marvels, his life was not easy. Touring was exhausting, travel dangerous, audiences fickle. Leopold was demanding, determined to secure his son a permanent post at some court. But Wolfgang chafed under authority. Even as a child, he had a mischievous streak, a love of jokes, scatological humor, playful rebellion. He was no obedient courtier. Back in Salzburg as a teenager, Mozart composed symphonies, concertos, serenades, churchwarps, but the provincial city felt small to him. He longed for Vienna, the imperial capital, where music thrived. After quarrels with his patron, the Archbishop of Salzburg, he finally broke away in 1781, determined to make his fortune as a freelance composer. It was a bold move, for musicians then relied on noble patronage. But Mozart believed in himself. Vienna became his home for the rest of his life. There he married Constance Weber in 1782, despite his father's objections. Their marriage was affectionate, if sometimes strained by financial troubles and Mozart's occasional irresponsibility. They had 6 children, though only 2 survived infancy. In Vienna, Mozart flourished artistically. He wrote piano concertos that became models of the genre, balancing virtuosity with lyricism, dialogue between soloist and orchestra with dramatic tension. He performed them himself, dazzling audiences with his brilliant playing. He composed symphonies that pushed the form to new heights, especially the last 3, numbers 39, 40, and 41, all written in the summer of 1788, each a masterpiece of clarity and depth. But it was in opera that Mozart found his greatest stage. Working with the librettist Lorenzo da Ponte, he created 3 operas that remain at the heart of the repertoire: La Nozze di Figaro, The Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, and Così fan tutte. Each blends comedy and seriousness, character and music in ways never before achieved. In Figaro, servants outwit their masters, social tensions simmer, but through it all runs humanity and forgiveness. In Don Giovanni, the tale of a libertine seducer becomes a profound meditation on freedom, morality, and damnation. In Così fan tutte, love itself becomes a game, at once comic and cruel, with music of astonishing beauty. Later came Die Zauberflöte, the magic flute, a singspiel combining fairy tale, ritual, comedy, and Masonic symbolism. Its arias are among the most beloved in all opera: Papageno's Birdcatcher Song, Pamina's Lament, Tamino's Quest, the Queen of the Night's dazzling Vengeance aria. It is music that speaks to children and philosophers alike. Mozart's gift was not just melody, but empathy. He understood character, emotion, nuance. He could paint in sound the slyness of a servant, the nobility of a hero, the vulnerability of a lover. He could move from laughter to tears in a moment, always with music that felt natural, inevitable, alive. Yet his personal life was fraught. Despite his genius, he struggled financially. He lived extravagantly at times, rented fine apartments, bought elegant clothes, hosted lavish evenings. But income was unstable, dependent on concerts, commissions, and teaching. He borrowed frequently, relied on friends, and often worried about money. His health, too, was fragile. He worked long hours, often into the night, composing with feverish intensity. He was plagued by illness in his last years. Still, his output remained astonishing. Even in his final months, he wrote the Clarinet Concerto for Anton Stadler, a work of serene beauty, the unfinished Requiem, filled with mystery and power, and the operas La Clemenza di Tito and the Magic Flute. Mozart's death at 35 shocked Vienna. Rumors swirled. Had he been poisoned by rival Antonio Salieri, as later legend claimed? In truth, he likely died from rheumatic fever or another infection compounded by exhaustion. He was buried in a common grave, as was customary for his class, without monument. Yet his music endured, carried by friends, students, and admirers. Over the centuries, Mozart has become a symbol of effortless genius, of divine melody, of the child prodigy who became the greatest composer of his age. But to reduce him to myth is to miss his humanity, the playful joker, the devoted yet sometimes careless husband, the man who struggled with money, the artist who lived intensely and died too young. His music is not divine because it descends from heaven, but because it rises from life itself, transformed by his gift. What is Mozart's legacy? It is music that combines clarity with depth, simplicity with sophistication, joy with sorrow. His works speak across cultures and centuries, immediately accessible, yet endlessly rich. A child can love Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, which he famously set in variations. A connoisseur can marvel at the counterpoint of the Jupiter Symphony. His operas reveal human nature in all its folly and nobility. His concertos show dialogue as drama. His chamber music reveals intimacy, friendship, conversation. When we listen to Mozart, we feel both delight and poignancy. There is laughter, sparkle, grace. But there is also melancholy, shadows, the awareness of fragility. Perhaps that is why his music endures, because it captures the fullness of being human. He once wrote to his father that death should not be feared, that it was the true goal of life. His Requiem seems to echo that sentiment, dark yet radiant, terrifying yet consoling. It is unfinished, yet complete in its power. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart lived only 35 years, yet he left a body of work that has never ceased to inspire. He is a giant, not because of his youth, not because of the myths, but because his music continues to speak to us as if it were written today. In his melodies, we hear joy, sorrow, love, loss, laughter, and longing. We hear ourselves. Thank you for listening to this episode of Classical Giants, produced by Selenius Media. Music by The Artificial Laboratory.